Cosmic horror has been characterized as the fear and awe we feel when confronted by phenomena beyond our comprehension, whose scope extends beyond the narrow field of human affairs and boasts of cosmic significance. Quite the description. Cosmic horror is tied to the imagination of HP Lovecraft, who defined it as, I quote, "the fundamental premise that common human laws and interests and emotions have no validity or significance in the vast cosmos at large." However, things begin to get confusing when you realize that Lovecraftian horror and cosmic horror aren't necessarily the same thing. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary cosmic horror movies you need to watch. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5, The Call of Cthulhu 2005. The Call of Cthulhu is a 2005 independent silent film adaptation of the HP Lovecraft short story of the same name. Directed by Andrew Lehman and distributed by the HP Lovecraft Historical Society, the film begins with a dying professor leaving his great-nephew a collection of documents pertaining to the Cthulhu cult. The nephew then begins to learn why the study of the cult fascinated his grandfather, and bit by bit he begins piecing together the dreaded implications of his grandfather's inquiries, and soon he takes on investigating the Cthulhu cult as a crusade of his own. As he pieces together the dreadful and disturbing reality of the situation, his own sanity begins to crumble. The Call of Cthulhu is the first film adaptation of the famous story and uses mythoscope, a blend of vintage and modern filming techniques intended to produce the look of a 1920s era film. As of right now, the movie holds a 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with Dennis Schwartz calling it a haunting labor of love tribute. Running only 47 minutes long, The Call of Cthulhu doesn't need an excessive runtime to be effective, with it garnering a slew of awards including Best Feature at Erie Horror Film Festival and View's Audience Favorites winner. Coming in at number 4 we have The Mist 2007. The Mist, also known as Stephen King's The Mist, is a 2007 science fiction horror film based on the 1980 novella The Mist by Stephen King. The film was directed by Frank Darabont and follows David and his son, who become trapped in a supermarket along with some other townsfolk when suddenly a mist engulfs the entire city, bringing along bloodthirsty creatures that devour anyone in their path. Now, aside from some questionable acting and terrible special effects, which I have learned is due to the fact that the movie was intended to be in black and white, making the special effects look a little lackluster in color, this movie is genuinely terrifying. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, with the residents of a small town being trapped in a supermarket in an attempt to keep themselves safe from the monsters lurking outside. However, there may in fact be some monsters inside as well. The movie is as psychologically draining as it is emotionally draining, with it having a gut punch of an ending. For those who have watched the movie, you will know what I'm talking about. The director revised the ending of the film to be darker than the novel's ending, a change to which King was amenable. Although it's a monster movie, the central theme explores what ordinary people will be driven to do under extraordinary circumstances, with the ending showcasing that to all of us. As of right now, The Mist holds a 72% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, Frank Darabont's impressive camera work and politically incisive script make The Mist a truly frightening experience. Coming in at number 3, Reanimator 1985. Reanimator is a 1985 horror comedy film loosely based on the 1922 HP Lovecraft serial novelette Herbert West Reanimator. Directed by Stuart Gordon, the film stars Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West, a medical student who has invented a reagent which can reanimate deceased bodies. He and his classmate Dan Kane begin to test the serum on dead human bodies and conflict with Dr. Carl Hill, who is infatuated with Kane's fiancée and wants to claim the invention as his own. Now, Reanimator isn't simply a zombie movie like its description makes it out to be, but it is also a tale of morality, the horrors of science, as well as how far we are willing to go to cure death. When the movie was first released on videotape, 2 versions were available, the unrated theatrical cut and an edited R-rated version. For those video stores whose rental policies would not allow them to rent unrated films that would be considered films with an MPAA rating of X, the film received hugely positive reviews by critics and viewers alike, with Roger Ebert giving the film 3 out of 4 stars and stating, "I walked out somewhat surprised and reinvigorated, if not reanimated, by a movie that had the audience emitting taxi whistles and wild goat cries." Reanimator was followed by Bride of Reanimator in 1990 and then Beyond Reanimator in 2003. In at number 2 we have The Void 2016. The Void is a 2016 Canadian supernatural horror film written and directed by Stephen Kostansky and Jeremy Gillespie. With the plot following a small group of people who become trapped in a hospital by a gathering of hooded cultists and by grotesque creatures. Part Hellraiser and part The Thing, The Void is a horror movie which will most definitely leave you untrusting of hospitals. From nurses skinning themselves to tentacled monsters and cultists in white hoods, there is a lot happening in The Void that will send shivers down any seasoned horror lover's back. Not to mention, it is overly bloody and incredibly weird, and like all cosmic horror movies, it successfully messes with your psyche, making you question everything you're seeing on screen. As of right now, The Void holds a 78% approval rating with the general consensus reading. The Void offers a nostalgic rush for fans of low-budget 1980s horror, and legitimate thrills for hardcore genre enthusiasts of all ages. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. In the Mouth of Madness is a 1994 horror film directed by John Carpenter and starring Sam Neill, Julie Carmen, and Charlton Heston. Informally, the movie is the third installment in Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, preceded by The Thing and Prince of Darkness. When horror novelist Sutter Kane goes missing, insurance investigator John Trent scrutinizes the claim made by his publisher, Jackson Harglow, and endeavors to retrieve a yet-to-be-released manuscript and ascertain the writer's whereabouts. Accompanied by the novelist's editor Linda Stiles and disturbed by nightmares from reading Kane's other novels, Trent makes an eerie nighttime trek to a supernatural town in New Hampshire. In the Mouth of Madness is the closest cinema has come to capturing the existential dread that HP Lovecraft built in his stories. The film itself pays homage to the work of Lovecraft with many references to his stories and themes. The title itself is also a play on his novella At the Mountains of Madness, with insanity playing a huge role in the film as it does in the book. Like the works of Lovecraft, In the Mouth of Madness will toy with your sanity, being filled to the brim with monsters, disturbing imagery, and plenty of twists and turns to satisfy any cosmic horror fan. In the Mouth of Madness currently holds a 59% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, if it fails to make the most of its intriguing premise, In the Mouth of Madness remains a decent enough diversion for horror fans and John Carpenter completists. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any cosmic horror movies that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary horror movie reboots. Darth Rock 1 said, love these videos, you always tell me what to watch. You're very welcome, I'm also telling myself what to watch. Skywarp6599 said the remake of The Hills of Eyes is one of my all-time favourites, and the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which I love the original Dawn of the Dead, and in the remake, boom, my mind, especially in the remake of the Disturbed song Down with the Sickness, so awesome, thanks Lucy. Don't really know what you're saying, but I love The Hills of Eyes and Dawn of the Dead, so I think we're on the same page. Muscle Gamer said, where is Friday the 13th, 2009? It wasn't on the list because Friday the 13th, 2009 is an absolutely atrocious movie, and if you think it's good, I've got some questions for you. Leslie Swanson said, I'm so jelly of Lucy's hair. I mean, if you want it, you can have it, because I'm not jelly of my hair. It's too thick right now. She tick. Nellie Williams said, am I the only person who likes the Rob Zombie first remake of Halloween? You're not the only person, because I also love it. But people judge me. Jerry Millett said, I thought my mention of Last House on the Left may have inspired this list, yet it wasn't on there. So again, I ask if you've seen both, and which do you prefer? My most irresistible dark goddess queen. I don't know if your comment did inspire it. I don't pick the list, but sorry I didn't include it. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick the original. Both are pretty disturbing. Second one was too Hollywoodized for my liking. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, I'll see you later.